Hey everyone, and welcome to She Plays the podcast. I am Ashley, and I am super excited to be joined today by Chauntiel Smith-Jones, who is CEO and founder of Capture Sports Agency. I'm super excited to dive into what it's like to be a sports agent. So, Chauntiel, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, I think this is one of those parts of the sports industry that not a lot of people know about, or they
Yeah,
know it's there, but like I'm sure there's so much that goes into it. So I'd love to hear just a little bit of your background in sports, and then yeah, like take us through the journey of becoming a sports agent.
definitely. So I started playing sports at the age of 3. Picked up a basketball, and went to the parks, was playing in the streets, was playing everywhere that I could physically possibly play, because I wasn't able to afford AAU travel basketball and stuff like that. So I was dribbling and doing what I could with what was given to me. Then I played in middle school, played in high school. I was thought I was going to go to the WNBA in high school. That was far from the case. So I found another sport my freshman year. So I started running track. And then I would say I went to state twice, my junior year, my senior year for track. Then I got a scholarship to attend Indiana Tech to run track there. Then I realized that, maybe I want to be an Olympian, maybe. Then I realized everybody on that track team are running like zebras. And I'm not a zebra. So that was like far off where I'm not about to go to the Olympics. So the next best thing was figuring out, how can I still be in sports and still make a difference? So that's when, sports agency came to mind. And just to, retrack back just a few years in high school when I realized that I wasn't going to be able to go to the WNBA was another reason why I was like, I have to figure out, what my next best thing is to be in that sports agency. So, I saw so many of my peers and so many people I played against go to that next level, and they were represented wrong, and they had the wrong money, or they went from nothing to having money back to not having money at all. And that just didn't sit right with me at all. So I was like, how can I get in and make a difference in my community and make a difference in the sports industry? So I kept trying to figure that out. And then I got to college, and like I said, I thought I was going to be an Olympian, and then that got shot down. So I ended up getting an internship with this small agency that was called Max Sports Group. I want to say like my junior year in college. And I, got to learn the business and stuff like that. And then I want to say like a year and a half later, God told me, bring it back to, my hometown, which is Fort Wayne, Indiana. So, I was questioning God a lot, and trying to figure out why. Like, why are you choosing me? Why do you want me to do this? There's so many other people that can do this, who can handle, what you're asking me to do. So I kept asking him that. And one day I was coming back from a class, and I was in a deep conversation with God, and I kept asking him why. And he kept saying, if I called you to do this, then you're more than qualified. And I was bawling, I was in tears because I kept telling him I can't do this. You're picking the wrong person. And once he told me that, that's when all my tears went away, and I realized I really gotta dig down deep and really get into this. So from there, that's when I started. I'm really starting to understand what was going on in the sports industry, and figure out so many ways that I can learn and grow in the industry. So I went to agent school. I went to pro scout school. I went to what do you call it? Uh, I went to a few sports agent academies with some big name agents, and then I also, I took on a whole bunch of classes just to learn more about the industry and stuff like that. So that's pretty much how I became as far as where I am now.
That's awesome. Well, and how did you hear about? Was it from your internship that you had, or like how did you know to find these resources?
I didn't like it was
Okay.
it was crazy because like I said, he just threw me in there. Like God just threw me in there, and I didn't know where to go, how to go, anything like that. So it took me a while to even understand what it was that I was supposed to be doing to run a agency properly. So I did a lot of researching. I found mentors who could help me and guide
That's
me along
key.
the way and stuff like that. So that helped out a lot, for sure. So it was definitely doing a lot of research, and doing a lot of networking and connecting with my mentors.
That's awesome. And yeah, mentorship is so important. So that's really cool to hear that you had some people helping you navigate the first,
Yeah.
bit into it. What is the landscape like? Like is because I know some agents are, high school kids that want to forego college. I feel like there's not many leagues now though that you can do that anymore, I don't think. Um
Well,
MLB maybe?
yeah, I know MLB does it. I think soccer does it
Oh,
a
true,
little
true.
bit. And
Yeah,
then I know it's the G League now where you can go straight from high
that's
school
right.
and go right into the G League.
Okay.
So that those are probably like the only ones.
Okay. But otherwise it's working with college kids who are a little older, but
Yeah.
I do bet that there are so many people who were burned because of their age and just like total just lack of awareness of like
Yeah.
what the industry's really like. We're all promised that shiny, oh, I can become a champ. So yeah, what is it actually like, that environment, and what do you hope to bring that's different to it?
So it's really cutthroat.
Mm.
And a lot of people don't, well, I won't say a lot of people, I'll say a lot of athletes don't know what they're getting into before they actually get into it. So what I want to do is bring education to the athletes, letting them know, what you're getting into before you're actually stepping into this place where, you can be slashed at any given second and no one's going to care what your life is like after that.
Mm.
Um, so it's definitely educating them on that. It's also educating them on being more than an athlete. Because a lot of athletes think that sports is all they know, sports is all they have. So a lot of athletes got to understand that once that ball stops bouncing, you can't start. The ball stops swinging on the bat, or your leg stops kicking for the soccer ball and stuff like that. Once that's over, what do you have? Like,
Mm.
what's left for you to have for your legacy, for your family? So that's another thing that we want to try and bring to this industry and educate them. And then another thing is, I want to bring in more women, help more women get into the industry, help empower them and help educate them as well so that they'll be able to come into the industry and have a seat at the table.
That's awesome. Love that. And what does it look like? Like describe what a good agent does or provides for an athlete.
Man,
Like I
I
don't
mean,
even know that. Yeah, like I mean I'm
it
sure like making connections, but yeah, what's really behind the scenes of what you do?
it varies. I know for us personally, so the whole thing behind Capture Sports Agency is for us to capture our athletes to be more than athletes. So a good agent can help bring that out of an athlete. A good agent can help them set up things or opportunities that help them not only in their career, but during their career and after their career. Um, so if you can find an agent that can do that, and put you in the right situations to help you grow, especially financially, spiritually, mentally, and stuff like that, then all of that is a plus. I think on my end is being able to help not only our athlete in their sport, but also in their life and with their family as well.
Hmm. Man, that's amazing. Because I feel like, and this is so cliche, I'm sure, but one of the like few glimpses into sport agency is Jerry Maguire, like in culture, right? Like there are a couple movies, yeah, there are a couple movies, but that one was like a big one of
Yeah.
that relationship between agent and athlete was so
Yep.
strong. And I'm sure like because what are some of the big firms out there? Like what are some of the bigger everyone like they have a
Man,
million people.
you have your CAAs, you have your Wassermans, you have your Clutch Sports, you have your Rock Nations, you have your BDAs, you have your Steinberg Sports. It's so many. It's so
Yeah.
many. You
Yeah,
have your
so
Young Money Sports.
oh
It's
right,
it's
right.
so many.
Yeah, and so I love the entrepreneur to entrepreneur. I love I'm bringing something different to the table. I want to have a space. So how do you go about creating that space? I know you said moving back to Fort Wayne, so
Hmm.
I'm sure there's opportunity there. What does
Yeah.
that look like?
So for the most part, our thing is, we're partnering with people who can help our athletes grow. So we have a law team, we have a marketing team, and we also have a financial team. All three things that can help our athletes grow. And it's not only helping us grow, but it's putting them in front of the right people, so that they can continuously grow on different levels and different aspects of their life. So that's how we're doing that there. And we're also, in the next couple of years, hopefully, trying to get the company built here in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And I saw that you work with a lot of players that play in Europe, it's like
Mm-hmm.
FIBA. What's that like? And even international, working in an international space, what's that like?
It's difficult sometimes.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, you got the language barriers, and you have to travel to go see your clients when they're playing overseas and stuff like that. And then a huge thing is, when something like this happens, as far as COVID, and you have players
Mm.
that's overseas and they're trying to play and make money for their family. Um, yeah, you got to find a situation where they either want to play or they don't want to play, and if they don't want to play, what are you going to do to help keep bringing in money and stuff for them? So it's tough, but it's not as tough. You just have to have a good backing and a good team behind you, who are trying to make value out of those players.
Yeah, in a non-COVID world, how often are you traveling?
A lot.
Yeah.
Between recruiting, going to games, going to events, and like several other things in between. It's a lot of traveling.
I bet. Yeah. So this year has just been
Yeah,
last year, thankfully. But still, this year, it's just been nuts, I bet.
yeah, it's been crazy.
And I've spoken with a couple of basketball players in Europe, and it's like quarantine is different per country. Some were like really trying to get out and they couldn't. So,
Yeah, yeah. Different countries overseas have different regulations and rules and stuff like that. I know a lot of countries aren't even open yet.
yeah.
So the window for even playing overseas is so small, just because there's not a lot of countries that are open, but some of them are.
Yeah. But I think that's so important because there are so many opportunities, at least in the sports of basketball and maybe soccer too, but for female athletes as they leave, the
Yeah,
WNBA is so small as
yeah,
far as roster spots that a lot of people do go abroad. And
yeah.
that's where a lot of money's made too.
That is true.
So yeah, so could you take us through like a typical day? Like let's say a player's in season. What are you doing like day to day?
Oh man.
I'm sure it changes, but just like some
Yeah.
highlights, I guess.
Let's see. Probably like, let's say it's a game day, for example.
Hmm.
Let's say we were waking up at like 5 a.m. Um, having our little team meetings, making sure everything is covered. And then from there, it's probably phone meetings, checking emails, returning phone calls, all that stuff. And then from there, depending on where the game is at, if it's like in another state or something like that, we'll probably travel to that game. And then you get to the game early. You talk with some of the coaches, you talk with some of the staff and stuff like that, and then from there you're watching them play, and then you're making the stats and stuff about it. Granted, before the game even starts, we're promoting our player playing and stuff like that, and then while they're playing, if they're doing things, then we promote that, and then after the game, we're promoting the after the game stuff, and then we go and talk to the athlete after the game, take them to eat or whatever that may be if they have time to do that. Um, but all through the day, we're talking to endorsers, sponsorship people. We're talking, trying to figure out all opportunities for the players to see what we can do on their off days, to keep them going and stuff like that. So it's a long day. I think it ends probably midnight, 1, 2.
And then you're up at 5? No, that's a
Yeah,
game day. A game every day is 5? Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's, the sports world is continual. So it's on weekends, like there is no real structure to, especially if you got multiple sports going.
Yep, and then you have to put in where if a client is playing and then a recruit is playing,
Mm,
so you have to try and balance both of those. So
man, you like
yeah,
coffee? Do you drink coffee? What
I
keeps you
don't.
up? Oh man.
I always tell people this is natural energy.
No,
Like
that's
this
awesome
this is
actually.
God given energy. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink energy drinks. Like nothing.
Yeah. No, I've actually heard if people will like I've tried to stop coffee for a couple weeks and you actually do get this like natural resurgence.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Maybe 2021 will be the year. We don't know. But yeah, so I've got a couple questions for you just on like maybe like who's listening to this maybe. So maybe we have someone who's interested in becoming a sports agent. What
Mm-hmm.
would be a couple words of advice you'd give to them?
I will definitely say make sure this is something that you want to do. Make sure that this is something that you're passionate about, because those first few years you're not going to be making money. So if you're just in it for the money, you're going to be out quicker than you think. You're going to be out quicker than you got in. So definitely make sure that your passion is there, and what you're doing it for is pure, for the most part. And then also I would say definitely find mentors, definitely do your research, and find somebody or an intern or an agency that you can intern with, to learn the ins and outs of the industry, and know that it's going to take time. It is a really tough industry, but if you're passionate about it, and if you work hard, you'll be able to make it.
It's awesome. Very cool. And I'm sure this day and age, like there's groups on Slack or some sort of networking groups that people can get a hold of. It's been
Yeah.
amazing this past year. How many of those have sprung up? Um, okay, so let's say you're one of the listeners is an athlete who's looking for an agent.
hmm
What do you look for in a potential client?
so for us, um, so we're looking for athletes who want to give back to their community, who have an interest in being an entrepreneur, an interest in becoming more than just an athlete. So if you know for a fact, like, you want to start a nonprofit, you want to start a charity, or you want to give into one that's already formed or something like that, those are a lot of the athletes that we go for. Athletes that have good character, athletes that obviously have good playing skills on that level, and then excuse me, it's pretty much that. So we're just really mindful of who we're going after, but for the most part, it's that good character. It's someone who's a role model, a leader, not afraid to uplift their voice and let their voice be heard.
Yeah, and I mean it's because this is probably what you hope a long-term commitment, right? Like what's the average, I guess, or like what are and when you sign a client, is it for their whole career you're hoping? I mean, I guess that's kind of a dumb
Yeah.
question, but yeah, like I mean that's a decade at least for most people, right?
Yeah, yeah. So it's definitely hoping that it's for the long term, but in order for it to be the long term, um, definitely both sides have to do their part, and there has to be some type of communication and some understanding going on with that. So as long as they're both on the same size, and they both have the same understanding, then it's pretty sure that they can last for a while. But it just has to be on the same page.
Yeah, is that recruiting process like how long is that? It's like dating, I'm sure. Like,
Yeah.
do we get along? Do we have shared values? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. The recruiting process goes for months. I know we started recruiting, I want to say back in August. We were getting all our stuff together, and we're still recruiting now. So it's probably won't end until about March for the most part. Getting everything lined up, um, you know, dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's and stuff. So definitely a good recruiting season.
That's awesome. I'm curious too, because again, and I love it, how much you've stressed the importance of mentorship.
hmm
And so what's one of the biggest lessons that you learned from a mentor?
Definitely to be authentic,
Mm,
because no one else can be you. And if you try to be someone else, that's when you get screwed over.
yeah. And people, especially I feel like younger generations, they are learning, their BS meter is so much more on
Yeah.
point than anyone else. That's really good advice. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, what else? Is there anything else we don't know about the industry that would be interesting? Like, we've definitely heard what's hard. I mean, it's hard probably to juggle people, juggle schedules, be up and on that
Yeah.
much. What's like the coolest part about it for you?
I think it all is cool. Like, just being
I love
able to
it.
see the clients live out, their dreams, and being able to help their family out and be able to get back to their community and stuff like that. I think that's the coolest part. It's definitely a blessing to see, because coming from poverty, it's hard. seeing so many people, out on the streets, don't have a home to go to or don't have a car. They're walking and it's pouring, raining and stuff like that. And when you can find someone who can make a difference and change that, it's amazing.
That's awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. Well, do you have any exciting things coming up this spring? I mean, I feel like we're all still like, are things happening? Are they not?
So we're waiting to see how our 2021 class will look as far as recruiting. So um I'll say keep your eyes open.
Will do. Okay. So yeah, where can people follow you and Capture Sports Agency?
So you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Agent CSJ. And then you can find the company Capture Sports Agency on Instagram and Twitter at Capture Sports.
So cool. Okay, I just had one more question coming into my head. What's
Okay.
what's been the coolest moment of like, because I hear you and like you love everything about it, and but there are certain moments that happen are just like, yes, I am like where I'm meant to be. This was so cool. Have any moments like that stood out to you in your pursuit of this?
Oh man. I think this is probably, I don't even know. Like, I think when I met Nicole Lynn at the NFL Combine, I think that was like the top of the chart. I think that's what it was for 2020. And I
That's
was
awesome.
like, and I was like, if she's in my face, I think I'm finally where I need to be. So
There you go.
I think that was huge for me. For the most part, I don't think she knows how huge that was for me,
Mm.
but she probably gets that all the time. So it's probably not that big for her, but you know,
I'm sure
that
that
was
message
pretty
doesn't
big.
get tiring. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty big for me. But I would definitely say that and just seeing the athletes make a difference is always a plus.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, again, entrepreneur to entrepreneur, it's hard to start something and it's hard to,
Yeah,
well, maybe it's easy to start something and it's hard to keep it going.
yeah,
And those little moments of celebration, you do have to like lean into and be like,
yeah.
yes, this was a big moment. So congrats
I
on that.
I definitely celebrate all the small things,
Good.
because
Good.
the small things is what gets us to the big things, and if we don't celebrate the small things, then it's like, what all happened? To like,
Yeah. We'll quit, right? Because
yeah,
there's nothing to celebrate. Yeah. We'll be like, we
yeah,
won't get to the big moments because we'll have given
exactly.
up by then. Yeah. Oh man. Well, again, kudos to you. Super excited to see how you grow and we'll be, be following along with your athletes and just really thanks for this kind of just behind the scenes look at what it's like to be a sports agent. I just think it's such a cool part of this that the more I'm in the sports industry, the more I'm like, oh yeah, that's a role. That's a really important role in this, all of
Yeah,
this. So
yeah.
it's just neat to hear what it's like in real life. So yeah, thanks again for coming on.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.